So good day, everyone, and welcome again to this session, which is being held by AADA, which stands for the African Actuarial Development Academy. So AADA exists to catalyze the development of the actuarial profession in Africa by improving the quality and quantity of actuaries in the continent. We aim to address the severe shortage of actuaries in Africa and to, in turn, increase risk protection and resilience across the continent. We do this across several pillars, including professional development, educational development, mentorship, and actuarial tutorials. Today, we're focusing on professional development in the form of a panel discussion on mortality development in Africa. We can all agree that Africa needs its own mortality data. A handful of countries within Africa have gone through, and for some are currently going through, the process of creating their own mortality tables. We do have an expert panel of representatives from various countries across the continent, including Kenya, Egypt, Ghana, and Nigeria, who will share how they have created or are creating their mortality tables. The panel is moderated by Laura Llewellyn-Jones, who herself has participated in the development of various actuarial tables across the continent. This session is intended for us to learn from each other, help us improve our current processes, and inspire those who are yet to begin their mortality table journeys. A special thanks does go out to Africa Re and the Africa Re Foundation for their support, as they have funded the mortality table process for quite a few of the groups that are here today, and have also provided interpretation services for today. And with that, I will share that interpretation to French is available, and in French, I hope I do this correctly. Pour nos collègues français, la traduction en français est disponible. So you can access it using the interpretation icon on the Zoom ribbon. It's at the bottom of my screen, but it could be at the top of yours. There will also be a Q&A session after the panel discussion, and you can ask questions throughout the session using the Q&A icon on the Zoom ribbon. With that, I will hand over to Laura to moderate the panel.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. So I'm going to start off giving very brief introductions on myself and the panel. I'm Laura Llewellyn-Jones. I am a UK Institute and Faculty of Actuaries qualified actuary, and I've been based in Africa for 12 years, 3 in Rwanda, 6 in Nigeria, and 3 in South Africa. My background is in pensions, but I've worked in fairly broad roles over the years. I led the development of the mortality tables in Rwanda back in 2017. I've been on the Nigerian Actuarial Society Council for 3 years, which just ended, and I'm currently working in the bulk annuity markets in the UK. So our speakers today, we have from Nigeria, we've got Teju Scott. She's an associate of the Society of Actuaries with 25 years experience in actuarial work spanning property and casualty, health and life. And she's had roles including head of technical and chief risk officer. She returned to Nigeria, having lived abroad for 15 years, and she's a passionate traveller and hopes to visit every wonder of the world someday. Our next speaker from Ghana, Alba Sadare. He's the Regional Actuarial Manager at Activa International. He's overseeing operations over Ghana, Sierra Leone and Liberia. He's an associate of the Society of Actuaries and he's specialised in life. And he's played a key role in developing mortality tables in the Ghanaian insurance market. And he's focused on strengthening actuarial infrastructure in emerging markets. Our speaker today from Kenya is Nikhil Dodja. He's an IFOA, Institute and Faculty of Actuaries qualified actuary, and he's also a certified enterprise risk actuary. He's worked both in the insurance industry as well as in consulting. He used to lead the actuarial practice for KPMG East Africa before joining Zamara. And he previously worked in the UK at both KPMG and for Canada Life. And finally, our speaker from Egypt, Ahmed Youssi. He's the head of the Central Actuarial Department at the Egyptian Financial Regulatory Authority. He is an associate of the Society of Actuaries, and he has extensive expertise in reserving, pricing, and pension funds. So thank you very much to the panel for joining me today. Very much looking forward to the discussion. We're going to start off with a first question, which I'm going to ask to every country so they can give a little bit about the landscape. So the first question is, in your country, what do you need local mortality tables for in terms of which products? So if we start off, maybe Teju for Nigeria. Oh, you're on mute, Teju. Okay, Teju, you're still on mute. Okay, while Teju's sorting out, I might move on to Ghana, if that's okay. Albert, are you okay to take the same question? So what do you need mortality tables for in your country?
Okay, so as you know, at the background of life insurance is the mortality table, which is very central to our work. In Ghana, most of us use there are two main tables on the market, the South African 8095 table, and a few people use one of the UK tables. But what we realized was that with time was that it didn't match our experience. We, for example, with the South African table, you would see around age 25, you would see an increase in mortality. Then it drops again, which meant that if you were pricing insurance at a lower age, you within an age band, around the 25, you would see an increase in premium, then it drops, then it goes back up as you don't see a monotonic relationship or one that we experience in Ghana. So the ESG came together and we said, no, we would need a table to better help us map our experience and so that we could price better. We could also use it for valuation better and risk management.
Okay, so in terms of products, which products in particular, Albert?
So for now, due to a few data issues which we'll discuss, it's mainly the retail products.
So I can't see on my screen, but with Nick for Kenya, can we talk about Nikhil? Can I pass the same question to you?
Yeah, sure. I think it's and also apologies for my video not working. Not sure what's happening there, but I think similar to what Albert has said, historically, constant use of either outdated UK-based tables, flooding into the market. But I think Kenya has been quite ahead in terms of mortality tables. So our first mortality tables came out in about 2004. We had a revamp of those tables in 2011, 12, and then again a new revamp that's yet to be published, just concluded last year. But again, primarily being used in insurance pricing, reserving for long-term insurance. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And then to Egypt, Ahmed. Same
Yes.
question.
In Egypt, it was initially planned to establish the following tables: mortality rates table, total and partially disability, critical illness, and morbidity. However, due to data issues, the data was insufficient to create all these tables originally agreed upon. We finally make several tables for mortality, depend on many insurance products.
Okay, thank you. And Teju, can I fire the same question at you?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. In Nigeria, we don't have tables at all. We use foreign tables, like others have said. And we're in the process of getting tables. We're working on them as we speak. We want tables for about all of our life businesses, group life, insurance, pensions, annuities. So we're looking to have our own specific tables at the end of this exercise.
Okay, thank you. Right, we're going to move on to the next question. So whether your country has developed or is developing local mortality tables, and what stage in the process are you? So I'll start off with Egypt this time. Thank you.
Yes, we developed localized mortality tables called the ELT 1418.
Okay. Shall I fire that question at Kenya as well? Thank you, Nikhil.
Yeah, so I think I maybe sort of answered it in my last one. So we're in the process of rolling out new tables. So we already have two sets of tables, the 2002, 2003 tables and the 2010 tables. And now we did an update based on data from 2018 to 2022. So that's just gone through peer reviews and sort of in the process of being rolled out to the industry.
Thank you. Teshu, should I pass the question to you?
Yes, I just also said something towards that. We're working on the tables. We hope to be done sometime this year. Currently, we're at the validation stage, so we have done a lot of data work already.
Thank you. And Ghana, Albert.
Yeah, so Ghana too, we are in the process of developing. In fact, we are the latter stages, I would say, because we are preparing to give our tables to a peer reviewer.
Okay, perfect. So my next question is whether foreign tables are being used and which tables you're using if you are using foreign tables, and whether the intention is that these will be totally replaced when you've developed your own tables. So I might fire that question to Kenya first, Nikhil.
Yeah, so in our Insurance Act, actually, it states use of the local tables when computing the reserves for statutory purposes. So majority of the insurers, or all the insurers, are using the local tables with adjustments based on experience. So taking maybe 90% of the table, or 105%, 110% of the table for their regulatory reporting. We do note some insurers who are part of bigger groups still use maybe some other tables like South African linked tables or UK based tables for their IFRS reporting. But for the statutory reporting, everyone still uses the local tables.
Okay, thank you. And then if we get the Egyptian experience, Ahmed.
Yes, A6770 mortality table remains the most widely used. Insurance company typically adjusted by a percentage to reflect their actual experience.
And Teju, the experience in Nigeria.
The experience is foreign tables. We currently use English live table. We've done so for years. The A6770, PA90, I think it's PA60, not sure. 6770, I can't remember. But these are English tables that we use. Currently, that's what everybody in the market uses. We're looking forward to having ours. So the answer to your question is English live tables.
Okay, and the same question for Ghana. Thank you, Albert.
So in Ghana, the most popular table you would find around is the South African 1895 table. That's the most popular table you find around. A few do use English tables though.
Brilliant. Right, we're going to move on to the next question. So who led the process in terms of developing new mortality tables in your country? So for example, was that the regulator? Was it the industry body? Was it an actuarial body or some other factor or some other stakeholder? So if I ask Kenya first, Nikhil?
Yeah, this has been driven by an industry body. So the Association of Kenyan Insurers has been leading this and being the primary sponsor for this engagement.
Thank you. In Egypt?
Yes, this project led by the Financial Regulatory Authority, FRA, in collaboration with Africa Re Foundation, ARF, and the Egyptian Committee for Actuarial Table, ECAT, to provide actuarial tables based specifically on Egyptian data. The agreement stipulated that FRA would establish a specialized committee to manage the project. This committee includes actuaries from FRA and the major life insurance companies. The committee prepared TOR, which includes the project objective and the required framework, and subsequently issued a tender for a major actuarial consulting firm. The committee began receiving technical and financial proposal, and Bernard Whittingham was selected to undertake the task to establishing the first Egyptian actuarial tables.
Okay, thank you. So in Kenya, it was an industry body, but in Egypt, it sounds like it was a regulator that helped lead the project.
Yes.
Okay, so Teju for Nigeria.
For Nigeria, this was spearheaded by the institute body, NIA, supported by the Nigerian Actuarial Society and regulators. So the industry, the Actuarial Society, and regulators.
Everybody. Thank you. And Ghana, Albert.
Okay, so for Ghana, the lead was the Actuarial Society of Ghana with support from the Ghana Insurance Authority or Ghana Insurance Commission. So the National Insurance Commission, let me put that way, sorry. So yes, it's the ESG, but we had support from the regulator to help us get data.
Brilliant. So those are the sort of questions on the kind of landscape, and it sounds like there are differences within the different countries. So these next few questions are going to be a little bit more process driven. So practically, how were sort of data requests coordinated and what periods of data were collected? So in terms of Kenya, I know you've had a number of projects, maybe just talk about the latest one. So if I fire that question, so how were data requests coordinated and what periods of data were collected? So maybe Teju, if you want to answer it for Nigeria.
The Nigerian Actuarial Society had a big role in coordinating the data. But before we even started coordinating or collecting data, we had roadshows for the different parts of the industry. We had pensions differently from the insurers. So we had to change the language from annuity language to pensions language. We had data submitted. It was the NAS made sure that they were the identities were hidden, and so they were the only ones that knew which companies had which data. But generally, it was put together by NAS. Each company had a Google file to add their own data into, not seen by anybody else. So pretty much NAS companies individually, supported by the regulator. The regulator was supportive throughout all of our presentations that were present, and they kind of made it regulatory. And so we got lots of data. Quite well, since the regulatory is not surprising, everybody wanted to take part in it. So yes, that.
Brilliant, thank you. Albert for Ghana.
Yes, so ASG prepared we prepared a form and we asked we had to send it to the NICE to give to the company, similar to Nigeria, or I don't know if Nigeria said this. We initially had a pushback from the companies when they were supposed to share their data. I don't know. I really didn't understand why. So until the regulator came in, then we were able to get the data. Also, I mean, it's not everyone who understood the importance. So some people were like, they just gave us a database extract. They really didn't give us in the form that we needed. But since we needed the data, we had to clean it and get back to them to ask one or two questions to be able to, because it's their data. You do not, you could not assume for. So you had to ask what this and this means, which made our data process very, very long. But yeah, we were able to go through that.
Okay, and what sort of periods of, I forgot to ask Teju, but what sorts of periods of data did you collect for your exercise?
Okay, so we collected from 2017 to 2022.
Okay. And Teju, do you want to just add what period you collected?
Yeah, we collected 2014 to 2024, 10 years.
Okay. And if I pass the same question over to Egypt, for Ahmed, so how were your data requests coordinated and what periods of data did you collect?
Okay, the construction of table was based on an extensive data gathering involving 14 Egyptian insurance companies. Time period, the data covered the 5 years period from 2014 to 2018. Scope of data, the collection includes various business types such as individual and group, policy types such as endowment and term assurance, and the cover types such as mortality, accelerated TBD, BBD, and critical illness. BW provides the committee with a draft outlining the data required from companies to build the tables. The committee collected the data from life insurance companies based on BW's requirements. The stage of reviewing and auditing the data represent the greatest challenge. Validation process. The consultant BW conduct a multi-stage validation process. This include a check for initial consistency, logical dates, and the reasonability of crude rates. Then BW address inquiries and amendment regarding the data provided by the insurance companies. This feedback loop with the companies was repeated multiple times until the highest possible data quality was achieved. To ensure the integrity of the results, data from certain insurers was excluded if it was found to be incomplete or unreliable.
Thank you. And if I pass that question over to Kenya as well, please. Nikhil? Okay, I'll fire on with the next question. We'll come back to Nikhil when he's back. Who funded the development of new mortality tables within your country? So I'll fire that question at Teju first for Nigeria. Thank you.
It's the African Reinsurance Foundation. I think a lot of us will say the same, but in Nigeria, they supported this.
Okay, thank you. And if I Albert for Ghana.
Yep. African Re supported us. So I think.
Okay, Egypt?
Yeah, Africa Re Foundation too.
Africa Re Foundation. Okay, and Kenya. Nikhil, are you back?
Yes, I am back. If you just repeat the question.
Yeah, so who funded the development of new mortality tables within your country?
So the last exercise was funded by the Association of Kenyan Insurers.
Okay. And the previous question, Nikhil, is how were your data requests coordinated and what periods of data were collected?
So ours was coordinated through the Association of Kenya Insurers, and we collected data for 5 years, so being the periods of 2018 to 2022. So really took a lot of support from the ACI team to collect data, and also given our industry is quite I want to say a small industry, but everyone knows everyone where there are delays, then it was also easy to reach out to insurers to just ask if they had submitted them or not. We had come up with templates that have been used in the past for such an exercise. So it's not that they were new templates, but still a bit of a challenge to collect data or get everyone to submit data on time.
Okay, thank you. The next question I'm just going to ask to Kenya and Egypt because I'm conscious that Nigeria and Ghana are still developing their tables. So this is for Kenya and Egypt. I'll ask you one at a time, but which tables have you produced? So I'll fire that question at Egypt first. Ahmed, what tables did you manage to produce locally?
Okay, based on the available data, mortality rate tables were developed for the following product portfolio. The first portfolio, individual endowment. The outcome was 4 tables: male duration 1, male duration 2 plus, female duration 1, female duration 2 plus. The second portfolio, group business portfolio, only one life table, combined life table. The third portfolio was individual endowment plus accelerated TBD. The outcome was two tables, male and female. The fourth portfolio was group mortality plus accelerated TPD. The outcome was four life tables, endowment male, endowment female, term assurance male, and the term assurance combined.
Thank you. And can I forward that question to Nikhil for Kenya as well? So which tables have you developed?
Yeah, so we did it for ordinary life, for annuities, and for group life.
Lovely.
And then split between male, female for each one.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm assuming they're split male, female as well, Ahmed, for your in Egypt? Or were they unisex? Yeah, so in Egypt, are they also male, female?
There was tables for male and female, and there was a combined life tables.
Okay, okay, thank you. So the next question, I might ask everybody actually, what challenges were there in producing new tables? So I'll start off with Kenya. Nikhil, what were the challenges?
Ooh, I think the major challenge was, I guess, getting data on time, or within a reasonable time frame. And once we got the data, because it was anonymized by company, when we were getting errors in the data, then it's sort of then now going again through ACI to then request, say, company A for clarifications on the data. We have situations where policy was there in, say, 2018, then not there in 2019, then comes back in 2020. So it became a bit difficult to track some policies through the data, or unique identifiers changing from one year to another year. So again, that made it a bit harder to track the data from one year to the next year. Some things like maybe trying to do deeper analysis, of course, because we were doing the data set from 2018 to 2022. Again, where there was a death, the cause of death is not marked. So again, trying to maybe strip out the impact of COVID on the tables became a bit more difficult. And then also getting scanty data at sort of the later years and earlier years also made it a bit difficult, I guess, when trying to smooth the tables as well, or apply any graduation.
Thank you very much. Right, if I pass that question on to Teju, please, for Nigeria.
Yeah, we pretty much had the exact same issues. But for me, for us, timeliness wasn't even the first thing. It was data quality. Surprisingly, we got lots of data. Many companies submitted data, again, because it was now a regulatory issue. I'm getting data, the data quality wasn't that great, and probably because some companies haven't kept data for a very long time or for a reasonable length of time. Usually, I mean, most companies provided sex, dates of birth, they tried, dates of exit, not very good at all. Sometimes you don't even have the day of exit. Like, do you know the person is there, but you don't know if they ever exited. Sometimes you know they exited, but you don't know when that happened. So we had those issues. Even though we had lots of presentations, people still didn't understand. For example, on the insurance side, companies were required to separate each policy by its products. So if you have a death and critical illness product, separate out death and critical illness in different records. That wasn't very well done. And so those are just examples of the data quality. And then the response time. I think, asking questions on our side, we expected companies to come back. Some did. Many did not. And I think that their view, and this is me, thinking that from their side, they're saying to themselves, we already gave you data, what else do you want from us? And so there's much more work to be done in companies.
Okay, thank you very much. If I fire that question about the challenges to Ghana to Albert, thank you.
You would hear the same thing just repeated for Ghana, because majority of the work with what I guess the mortality table would be the data analysis, the data that will be provided. So much of it, for example, you would have companies having to separate databases, which has the policy data and one which has the claims data. So you would have to match it, or match it before they give it to us. So much of it was the data work. For example, just like Egypt said, we had to drop some of the companies that provided data because then it's the response time from the companies were quite slow. So getting information from them and correcting data, going back, the back and forth would have dragged that. We already like our process has been very long, and we had to drop these companies. So much of it will be the data work. Then also, I guess because it's a project involving a lot of human beings, and so as we them each one a committee, since we would have to meet on certain individual time and all that, people finding good times for us to meet. And yeah, even some there was one time that we much of the day back to the data, we had to rerun our data cleaning because our reviewer prompted us to something. This is a first run, so prompted us to a mistake we had made in our R script when we were running. So much of the challenge was data, and I guess because it's also our first time that we're running, we had to correct things as we go. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And Egypt, your challenges.
Yes, the most significant challenges were data issues such as missing essential information about insured, such as gender, inaccurate dates, a lack of linkage between active policy records and exit records, incomplete data such as the primary cause of claim.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question, I hadn't planned to ask it, but it's just occurred to me that it might be interesting for the viewers. COVID, so the impact of the pandemic. So this might be too early for Nigeria and Ghana because you're still developing your tables. But I thought if I asked Kenya and Egypt, or maybe I ask everybody and then you just let me know what your sort of sense is. So Ahmed, any sort of immediate impacts from COVID within your data?
Yes, the consultant report provide important guidance for insurer companies who will use live tables. That corona factor are not contained in the period of data, so they should put a factor to cover that.
Okay, thank you. Teju, your sort of impact of COVID in Nigeria.
So generally, if you ask the industry, the response will be there's no impact. We didn't have a big deal around the time. We didn't have lots of debts, or at least recorded debts. So then the next question is, well, let's see what data says. So far, data also has not recorded any significant impact of COVID.
Okay. And Ghana, Albert.
Yes. So since we ran from 2017 to 2022, I guess 2022 was where we did not really see a significant impact of COVID for but one company. So what we did was that even though the company's data, policy data made it into the final data set used, we had to drop because it was one portfolio, its whole life portfolio, we had to drop that set of data from the complete data because they were the only ones who recorded a huge increase in mortality around the COVID period. But for much of the industry, there was no significant. We did see a little because we ran to check. We did see a little, but we concluded that it wasn't significant.
Okay, and for Kenya as well, Nikhil?
I think very similar to Teju. So again, I mean, during the period, in terms of what was being reported, not too many deaths happening in the country. And again, on the data side, as part of the peer review process, one of the things that we were asked to do was just go back and check if there was any significant changes in the crude rates from year on year, which we did check, and nothing came out of that as well. So no adjustments were then made for any impact of COVID.
All right, thank you very much. So I've got a couple of questions now on sort of practical things. And the question is, any issues around usage in the market following the development of new tables? So this would just be for Kenya and Egypt. So sort of issues around usage. So if I ask Ahmed from Egypt first.
Yes, there was a short guidance when using live table that the insurance company should adjust for its own actual experience, not use live tables blindly, and also to take care for future trends. Since mortality generally improves over time, insurers should consider applying improvement factor when pricing long-term products.
Thank you. And Nikhil for Kenya.
Yeah, again, quite similar to Ahmed, but I guess the current tables that we have haven't yet been released, but the previous tables that are currently being used, again, like I mentioned, insurers are making adjustments to those tables. Some insurers are using even the previous 0203 tables because they say they represent a better reflection of their experience than the current 0710 tables that are in use. So a bit of flexibility within the industry to apply adjustments to their tables.
Brilliant, thank you. And then the next question, another practical question. Are tables freely available or are they licensed in some way? So I'll start with Nikhil.
The tables are freely available here.
And how would you find them? Are they just on the sort of industry body website, or how would you pick them up?
No, that's a good question. I think you can get them from the Association of Kenyan Insurers if you write to them and request for the mortality table. But I've never actually gone and requested for them. I've always just had them.
And the same question for Egypt, for Ahmed.
Yes, it's freely available for insurance companies. We had made a webinar when we complete live tables and then sent live tables to them.
Okay, so they've been sent to the local insurance market. And then I guess I know in Ghana they've not been released yet, but what would be the process of getting your Ghanaian tables once they've been released?
So we hope, SOA has a database of what do we call them, mortality tables. So we hope to make it freely available to everyone. We hope they could host it there.
And Teju for Nigeria. You might not know, but
I expect them to be freely available. At least the regulator will have them and they will be your source.
Brilliant. Okay, so the next question, which is about future iterations. So this would just be for maybe just for Kenya. So how many iterations of mortality tables have there been? I think you have answered this, but you could talk, Nikhil, about the different periods. Thank you.
Yeah, so now we're currently on the third iteration of the tables, being the 18 to 22 tables yet to be released. I guess the advice, if anyone is looking to start, I would say just start. And I think the process gets better as you go ahead and continue to continually improve, and you'll have lessons learned from the prior exercises carried out. It's just important to start somewhere.
Brilliant. And I think, well, in Nigeria and Ghana still developing, and Egypt, you've just launched your first tables. So next question, who has taken ownership for future data collection exercises? I'm going to ask Nikhil as well. So who's taken ownership for future data collection exercises, and how does this process work in practice?
So currently, I don't know, I guess there's no real set standard on future ownership of the data collection, and sort of data still remains with the insurers. But our one big recommendation after completing the last exercise was that it would be important to get the regulator involved, and perhaps on a quarterly basis or annual basis, this data can be shared with the regulator to be stored. I think from what Teju mentioned earlier, that given I think it was being in Nigeria was being driven like as a regulatory demand. I think in our markets, insurers are more likely to do something if the regulator demands it than if it's a nice to have rather than a must to have. So again, if this could be passed on to the regulator as part of a quarterly exercise or part of the quarterly reporting, I think it makes it a lot easier. And then you have this big database that becomes a lot easier to use. And you can then now even pick the periods that you want. If you want a 5-year period, 10-year period, 7-year period, it becomes much, much easier and much easier to also, I think someone was asking about mortality improvements or talking about mortality improvements now start to become much easier to look at now, also maturing into creating a mortality improvements table.
Brilliant. So if I ask the same question in Egypt for Ahmed, so who's taken ownership for future data collection exercises?
In recent year, FRA has launched several initiatives to improve the quality of data held by companies and to link the data with FRA, such as data governance. FRA issued regulation requiring companies to cleanse their data before submission. Also, standardized data format were implemented. Then digital transformation and the mandatory electronic linking. FRA established a unified database for the insurance sector aimed to collecting policyholder data, documents, and claims on real time. Finally, EQIC initiative. This initiative helped unify client identifiers using the national ID, making it easier for FRA to link the experience of a single client, even if insured with more than one company.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to adapt the question very slightly of who do you think would look after future data collection exercises? This is for Nigeria and for Ghana, but I'll start with Teju in Nigeria.
I think the current system that we've used for this first project, I think will continue to work. The regulator, the industry, the actual society have been working together. And I think this will also work for future mortality projects.
And for Albert, for Ghana as well, please.
Yeah, so similar to what it's going to be the regulator. What we've planned to do is to collect the data, as Kenya suggested. You collect the data yearly. We've even planned. We hope that as soon as we're able to put our mortality table out there, we could start training the industry so that year on year they know the format of data we need. And also, yeah, we've taken steps also as an association. I think our reviewer recommended GitHub and Co, where we could keep our codes for in case for continuity, in case as a association, in case a person who did much of the programming is no longer around. And also, yeah, it's going to be both the association and the commission, insurance commission.
Okay, thank you. So this is my final question. How would you advise new markets looking to produce tables? And I'm going to ask Kenya first, Nikhil. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it would be just to start. You won't always have you will never get a perfect set of data. I think start with if you can get regulatory involvement. I think from what we've seen in our markets is, again, if there's a regulatory push, then it becomes a lot easier. If you have a local actuarial society, having them involved also makes this a lot easier. I think in Kenya, what has helped us a lot is the involvement of the Actuarial Society of Kenya in assisting with peer reviews. So getting a second eye to peer review all the work that's been done was quite appreciated and actually led to a lot of improvements on our side.
Brilliant. Egypt, how would you advise new markets looking to produce tables?
I think producing new local table is important to enable life insurance companies to accurately pricing policies, calculate premium based on a local market experience, and support the development of innovative insurance products.
Okay, thank you. Albert in Ghana.
As Nikhil said, I think the best thing is to just take it, like start a process, just like writing an actuarial paper. Others, you would have similar experience with others, but then their experience it's special to you. So just start the process. Also, as he said, yeah, you would need a reviewer because, for example, with ours, we used Brian Holland. I think he was on the ILEC for SOA, and he was able to identify where we could improve on certain areas. So that is also very important.
And last question, finally, for Nigeria, Tateshi.
Starting the process, I think the data part should take a longer time. The data collection part of the project should be for a longer period. So part of it is just getting companies to even understand what to do and then to gather the data. Some companies have tech backing them, so it's easier for them than others. For some companies, it's still a bit manual. And so in order for us to get quality data, we may just need to allocate more time to the data gathering part of it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much to everybody. Really appreciate. I think we're moving on to the questions and answers. And I think there's going to be, I think it's going to come on the screen, maybe.
No, Laura, we're not that good.
All right, there's a Q&A section, and I think I scroll down and pick a question.
Yeah. Yes, there is a Q&A section, so please do scroll. I will advise all panelists to look through the Q&A section. Quite a varied list of questions by the audience, some technical, some practical, and maybe if you, Laura, see if one person is more suited to answer certain parts of it, then go for it that way. Thank you.
So I'll just pick the first question. I perhaps won't go round the room. I don't know whether I ask volunteers. The first question is, given the tables are meant to estimate future mortality, did you see some trending, or how did you do to account for future developments in mortality? I'll ask that to Nikhil, maybe. Do you want to take that one?
Sorry, Laura, you broke up there for a second. Could you just repeat that?
Given the tables are meant to estimate future mortality, did you see some trending, or did you notice some? Maybe I'll change the question slightly. Did you notice big differences between your different tables?
Yes, we did. But that's noting that maybe ours is a bit more of a complex situation where I think the 0710 tables, a lot of people found that the mortality was quite light in those tables. So when moving to these new tables, we found that mortality was more closer to, but slightly better than the 02, 03 tables we had, but still heavier than the 0710 tables. So it wasn't really a good representation for whether we saw mortality improvements from the prior tables to the new tables. But in terms of then now allowing for any future developments in mortality, none of that has really been accounted for.
So when you're saying that the deaths look light, so maybe deaths weren't captured in the data, maybe?
In the previous data set, maybe, but I can't say for certain what happened with those previous tables.
Okay. Does any of the other panel want to take that question, or I might just move on to the next question, but please do stop me. There's a question here. What mortality laws were being used when developing these mortality tables? So maybe this is more like sort of professional actuarial standards in developing actuarial tables. Ahmed, would you mind answering that? Is that okay?
mortality laws. What he mean by mortality laws?
I'm not sure. I think it's more about professional actuarial standards and developing tables. So maybe in terms of things like peer review or
I actually thought maybe that referred to some of the methods used for smoothing and extrapolation. So, for example, the different laws, so like either using Whittaker-Henderson or Heligman-Pollard, etc. So, like for Kenya, for example, we did use the Whittaker-Henderson for smoothing and extrapolation using Heligman-Pollard, but in some cases, it did result in unrealistically low mortality rates, especially at older ages. So we then incorporated Loggett graduation, so Brass Loggett graduation method, referencing to a standard table for ages beyond 80.
Okay, so you're talking about different graduation methods.
Yeah, similar. I think similar to Ghana too. We use the Whittaker graduation to smoothen the table, and we realized that just like Kenya said, for extrapolating the table or extending the table, because we did not have enough exposure over there, we had to choose between, I guess, when the person says laws, various models. There are some that there's a lot of research on. And we even considered something like the compared to a very, very old actuarial mortality model. But we also considered logit regression, logit for extending the the tables also. So, and if it means laws, I mean, when you graduate and you're selecting, I guess the major law to look at is the fact that you expect mortality to be monotonically rising, so you expect mortality to go up with certain ages. So I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen that when you're looking for sort of heavier mortality tables in the older ages, but some of the deaths are missing, so you're not seeing that trend. Yeah. I've had another question here. It's actually been messaged to me about the impact of the initiatives generally in an IFRS 17 world, where actuaries need to set assumptions that are based on their own experience. So in terms of developing mortality tables, does anybody feel like they'd like to have a go at that one?
I mean, so I think it's a general, it's not only about IFRS 17. You would use your mortality table for reserving and for as a risk management, and when you are your best estimate of your liabilities. I mean, if you have a table that better structure or that is able to better tell your mortality, it means that then you are better reserving under IFRS 17. So I guess if you were using a table that did not match your experience, then your reserves would probably be inadequate or over adequate. You would be reserving more. So
cool. Thank you very much, Albert. Really appreciate. So I've got lots of questions here. So the next one is: had anybody had success with getting quality annuity data for pension planning? So I'll pass that. Is that Nikhil? I don't know if you've had a quality annuity data within Kenya, or whether you don't really have an annuity market in that way. I'm not sure.
So we do have a strong annuity market, but I guess one of the shortcomings, I guess, is it's still a young and thriving population, so not as many deaths being recorded. So when we look at the average sort of in the exposure data, a lot of concentration around the 55 to 75, 70-ish age mark. So not too many deaths coming through, which made it a bit difficult. So I think on the pension side, I think there's still some work to be done.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah, Laura. So we got quite some data from the annuity business. Actually, all the companies sent us data, and the data from annuities was better than from insurers, which is, I don't know if that was expected. But we also got their data seems simpler So we got their data really early. But from the data, we observed that we have decreasing death rates at the older ages, which is not what's expected. We're expected to see mortality rates increase with age. And we didn't see this with just one company, there were a few. So we're asking questions. Is there something in the industry or the product that speaks to this seemingly under-reporting of death claims, or is there no data? So yeah, that's where we are now.
Yeah, Laura, maybe just to help, there is an interesting question in the Q&A that I think maybe applies. For me, I think it's a uniquely African question. So the question has been posed specifically to Ghana, but I do believe it applies across Africa, particularly Nigeria as well, maybe even Kenya. So the question is, given the large informal sector in Ghana, but it could be another African country, how can mortality data be adjusted to ensure that mortality tables represent the entire population rather than only insured individuals? And what data sources are most reliable for mortality modeling? Is it national census data, health records, insurance data, or demographic surveys? I don't know if there's anyone that wants to take that one.
Yeah, I
I
think.
can.
Oh, sorry, Teju, you can start.
Okay, thank you. I think data quality and the source of that data will be the biggest thing. The insured lives, that's easier. We know where to look. But for the general population, yeah, data quality and the source that is reliable will be the big thing. And really, I mean, I can think of certain organizations, but it will not be credible. I don't think it'll be credible. So data quality, credibility, and the source of data of that size, I'm not certain we have.
Okay, thank you. Nikhil, do you want to answer that as well?
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize obviously mortality between the insured population and general population is likely to be different. But I believe it's ILO or UN also publish country mortality tables based off the base mortality for the entire country. So we also did use that as a reference check to help us, just check sort of reliability of the information and results we got. So just ensuring that, for example, on the annuity side or even on the insured population, that we were seeing mortality that is better than the standard population.
Brilliant. I think we've got 2 more minutes left. So I think we've got time for maybe one more question. I'm not sure I'm best placed to pick out the best question out of the ones left. But here goes. There's a question here. How would someone adjust a standard mortality table to reflect local mortality trends? Maybe if anybody would like to just comment on that one.
So what we have done is make some adjustments to the standard tables. So you're saying that we see improved mortality. We have these standard tables. We're going to assume perhaps a 6-year improvement. That's what we have done, and that's one way you can adjust your standard tables. I think that's what we've done here in Nigeria.
Anybody else want to add into that from the panel? No. Okay, so I think we're about on time to the AADA team. So I think I'm handing over. Thank you very much. Really appreciate.
Thank you very much, everybody. Really, really, really appreciate all the discussion. Thank you very much to our panelists and to the audience for all the questions. There's so many questions that I think if we stayed another 30 minutes, the questions will keep coming. So it's testament to the quality I will answer a quick question that somebody's put. Yes, a recording will be available. We will put it on YouTube in the coming days, so you will be able to see the recording. Please, if there are any additional questions, please do share that with us. Our contact at ada.africa, and we might see if we will be able to get some of our panelists to answer offline. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can share my screen and just talk a little bit about some of the upcoming activities for the coming weeks. Hold on, let me just check. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. People can see. I hope. Yep, I've seen some notes. So thank you very much. So what we're doing at the moment is we have this call. One of the pillars that we have in ADA is called tuition pillar, where we try to get people to tutor them for exams, specifically the SOA. We are agnostic, but we're going to start off with the SOA for now. And as part of that process, we are looking for tutors. So it's not necessarily qualified actuaries, somebody who's written the exam before, or somebody who's a lecturer who's interested in helping us as part of this process. It would be a 10 to 15-week program. It will be all virtual. We're trying to see if we can get a cohort that is truly African in nature. So please do scan the QR code to sign up for it. At this point in time, we're just looking for lecturers. We will send out another call very soon looking for actual participants. So if you're a participant, please do hold on. You will see that. Other upcoming events that we have in the pipeline is we're going to have a boot camp in collaboration with the International Association of Black Actuaries in the US. There we're looking to see about soft skills for students. We're going to do some group mentoring sessions. At the same time, I will do a call out to say if anybody wants to help anchor a group mentor session, please do reach out to us. We are constantly looking for people. We're also going to do an individual mentorship process where we do 1 or 1 to 2 matching. Group mentor sessions are possibly one person speaking to a group of about 15. So we curate that just to make sure it's not too big. And as we said, we're going to do some exam tutorials. Follow us on LinkedIn. That for us is the source of all truths, because basically when we have programs and we have things we advertise, we will put it on LinkedIn. We are an Africa-focused organization, so we will be at the 7th African Actuarial Congress, which is happening in Benin later on this year. If any of you happens to be there, please do reach out to us, come have a chat, come talk to us about things. That's kind of very important. And I think that's so. Yeah, if you want to reach out and connect with us, we've got our LinkedIn page. That's our email address. We've also got a website. And as I said earlier, the videos of this and other webinars will be on our YouTube page as well, which is at aada.actuaries. So thank you very much for everybody for today. Really appreciate everybody's participation in this exercise, and look forward to seeing you all on the next event that we are hosting. Thank you.